There's going to be a bit of bumping around while I just get myself in the right place. Those of you who are watching the replay, you might want to watch sort of 5 minutes in, just as I'm making sure that everything's working and I've got my bits and pieces and stuff ready. Obviously, some people are a bit excited because they've already turned up, which is wonderful, so welcome. I'm just going to organise my iPad so I can see any comments. Oh, no, that's not what I want. Sorry. No matter how long it takes me to do this, I still never get the right thing at the right time. And of course I need an update. Hopefully it won't take very long. So I hope you're all excited for the class today. I will go back and have a look at comments in a minute. If you have been able to, these are the printables that I have done for this class. So you don't need to use these, but these are the types of images that we're using in the class. So you don't have to have a woman in a cage, just a picture or someone. It could be a picture of you, but sort of big blooms, birds, butterflies, whatever takes your fancy. The Tim Holtz butterfly, a transparent, like whatever you have got will work. So I have just sat and cut out lots of the flowers and butterflies just so I can sort of get ahead of it. So while we are waiting for people to join in, if you would like to do that, I have cut out sort of individual blooms. I've also cut out like chunks like that I can use in borders. Sorry, my YouTube's taking a little while to download. The main images I'm using this page are that one and this one. Again, you can choose whichever ones take your fancy. It really doesn't matter. Just sort of big blooms, whatever, butterflies, and then the quotes at the back. And again, if you don't like these quotes, you can sort of cut out the inside, paste it onto a piece of card and write your own and stamp your own in, or you might have some frames and bits like that you can use. So let's just see if I've actually got YouTube yet. Oh, nearly. This is why you always start early, so you can get all this stuff organised. Right. Now we're going to go into the Find Niamh's life that we always do. No, that's not what I want. Oh, that's what I want. Yay! Hello, everyone. Nice to see your chats. Excellent. So that was hilarious for you all, watching me sort that out. Cool. So I might actually move my iPad out of the way somewhat. Ugh. And now I've just completely moved my phone. Sorry. This is what happens when you work in a crafting avalanche. Right. Hopefully we're okay. I've got a mess of cords around here from all sorts of things. So, and I've just moved the freaking camera again. Sorry. Right. I promise I won't touch it anymore. That's where we're going. Hello, everybody. It's nice to see you all here. So, as you saw before, those people, while I was waiting for YouTube to download, I have got those free printables for you. And this is somewhat what we're doing today. Has that just moved again? Or is my board not straight? The board's probably not straight. Sorry, that's going to drive me nuts now. No one is OCD here because nothing's going to be straight tonight. Okay, so this is kind of what we're going to be creating today. A sort of cut page. I actually used embossing powders on this, which I don't do in my journal too often. Obviously you don't need to, but if you'd like to play with something you don't usually play with in your journal, it's a good way to do it. Hey Yolene, hey Wendy, hey Susan, hi everybody, hi Yolanda. Then we're going to have sort of these peek through pages. So I've got the main focus page at the back, then sort of this bordery page and so on. Now you could do as many of these pages as you would like. So I've stuck with 3 because, you know, you don't want to be here till midnight, and I know some of you are getting up ridiculously early anyway. Hello from Holland. Hello from Tasmania. So you could keep overlaying and overlaying and overlaying, but I've sort of simplified it down to 3. And the whole thing is that you can sort of see glimpses here and through as we go along. There's no, just use what you've got. If anyone hasn't done a class with me before, I'm more than happy for you to go your own way. So these are just the techniques. This is just a chance for us to get together and hang out and have fun. I do not expect carbon copies at all. If you want to, that's fine, but we know what mixed media is like, so you do you, because I always get excited when I see what you guys do. Welcome newbie. You'll be fine, Genevieve. It's all good. So just hang in there, and remember this is going to be recorded as well, so you can go back, stop, slow it down, you know, whenever you need to. So please don't get overwhelmed by anything. I do say shout at me through the screen, which I know isn't very practical because you can't, but there are lots and lots of wonderful people who are online at the moment who are Niamh regulars and can help you out if you get really stuck. Please ask for help, and I'll always go through the comments at the end and help support people as well. Hello everyone who's coming in. So as I quickly showed you before, these are the collage sheets. If you go to my Instagram page in the profile, or the Niamh's art journal page, you'll find a link to download this. Oh, well, you'll be fine, Genevieve. Just make it up as you go along. All good. So you can download this. Now, I'm more than happy for you to use this in anything you do. Please don't sell it or pass it on though. Or if you do, pass them on through the channel. Because obviously I'm not charging anyone for this. So, you know, I don't want people then going off and selling this. With your leftover images, because I did give you way more than you actually need, you can make your own pages. I bought these on special from Kmart, maybe. I did a bit of a mixed media background. You can see some of those images in the background and glued bits and pieces on. So lots and lots of fun. Yes, I had fun putting the pages together. They're sort of my favorite images sort of working together. So yeah. All right, well, I think we've got enough people here, so we might start. I'm going to go way to the back of my journal. Hi, Pamela. How are you? How's South Australia treating you? Just to not have it right next door to the last page I did. The stars are cute. I had fun with those. Hopefully lots of you are playing along tonight. If you are not, and if you have got your printables there, and if you like fussy cutting, you can just be sort of sitting cutting stuff out. So this is the sort of stuff I've cut out. Big blooms, some of the things joined together. This one, as I said, I was going to use as a sort of main focal image on one of the pages. I've got bordery bits, more bordery bits, lots of the individual butterflies cut out and the birds, some little bits to fill in gaps, and that's what the individual blooms are really useful for as well. And I've cut out the two women in frames as well. So if you're not necessarily playing along tonight, it's a good chance for you to do sort of that cutting-y out bit to get a bit ahead. I just thought I would do that because there's nothing worse than sitting here watching people cut stuff out. Plus my scissors, my daughters have pinched all my good Tim Holtz scissors, the ones with the long blades, which I really like. I had 3 pairs, cannot find one of them. Not one of them. So I do not know where the hell they've put them, but I'm a bit cranky, and I never thought I would be the person who, where are my scissors? Where are the good scissors? So that's that's where we are. Okay. So we're just going to sort of go through a bit of time and create the backgrounds. I'm working backwards to the front. So we're starting off with the full back page collage, then we'll do sort of the torn page collage, and then we'll do the cut page at the front. Just so you can sort of see how it progresses as it goes along. I'm not playing dinner tonight, my printer's out of black ink. Yes, printers are fun, aren't they? It's great doing this in school holidays where I don't have access to the colour printer at school. So I didn't really think that one through before I did it. So I'm going to start off, because I like those sort of, not grungy, but darker colours. I'm going to start off with some Payne's Grey in the background, just to get a base coat on. Now, this is going to have a load of collage over it as well, so it doesn't need to be perfect. It's just putting some colour on the page. You don't have to start in a light journal like this. If you want to do this in a black journal, whatever you fancy would be good. I am, however, going to actually save myself a little bit of time and effort and paint the back of this page at the same time, because what happens is I do these pages and cut them out and collage them, and then I've got this page showing, and it's like, oh, I really wish I'd painted that black first. So if you want to use black gesso, or if you want to use sort of a dark greyish colour, or it can be any, it doesn't matter, but if you like the backs of your pages painted, and when you're doing cut collages, I would probably do that first. So, I hope everyone had a very restful holiday period. I have done absolutely nothing today. I felt very guilty about it. I had all these plans of being, you know, productive and getting all this stuff done, and I think my family and I barely moved today, but it was really nice just having one of those days. We did go for a bike ride though, that was nice. So you don't have to buy those pieces. They were my freebies for this class. If you go to my Instagram page, Niamh Baly, on my link tree, there's a link to the Dropbox where you can download them and cut them out, Michelle. So you've got an opportunity to do that. If you don't have a printer, because I realise people don't have printers and so on, the other thing is just have a look at the file, and you, like, I tried to make it, sort of magazine-y collage-ish, so like you can get similar things and do your own stuff with it, but honestly, again, it's me. I don't, it could be real photographs of your family, it could be the Dilutions collage, it doesn't really matter what you use. This is just about having fun. Yeah. Yeah, but you know how you feel really guilty when you have those days? And it was hilarious because my kids have done absolutely nothing today. But they're very good at putting rubbish at their feet or doing craft and just dropping it where they are. So I, you know, looked around the house and thought, well, we actually may need to do something with this because this is gross at this stage. And I was, you just demand so much of us, Mum. You just demand so much of us. It's like, I'm asking you to put the rubbish in the bin, girls. It's not a big demand, and I shouldn't really have to ask you anyway. So it was one of those days. Okie dokie. So the reason I'm starting off with the black is I want to do a bit of a ghosted effect over the top with a stencil. Now, I've just buried mine with all my stuff because why wouldn't you? So this is a really dirty stencil. This is one from Stencil Girl. It's just writing over the top. Any stencil would work. I love pattern stencils and so on, so that's what I tend to use. I love text. That's what I'm using. You do what you want. So if you want to have flowers in the background, do that. It's all good. But this is just like, we're barely going to see any of this, so it really doesn't matter what you're doing it. Oh, I've just lost my glue. If I look for my glue later on, it's on the floor underneath my chair. Welcome, welcome. We've only just started, Michelle. You're not late at all. So for this, I've got my wet wipe ready. I have dried off my layer underneath, so this is dry now, which means that this paint is not going to be permanent until it's dry. So you do have to work a little bit quickly, but not hugely. If you are in a really warm environment, you may have to put a little bit of water. I've just put this on with a wet paintbrush, so it is a little bit watery, so it's still a bit damp. I can see it's sort of drying on the top here, so I'm going to have to move a bit quicker. So just plonk your stencil down, and then just with your wet wipe away the paint. So you're sort of doing a bit of a reverse stencil, or ghosting. There's lots of different names for this. And again, nothing needs to be perfect. You can see I've really beaten up this stencil because it's got bits and pieces lifting up. So I forgot to say, use the colours that you like using. If this isn't your cup of tea, do what you like. Oops, there we go. So it's fairly subtle in the background, but you can see, and I've pulled off some of the paint. I don't care, it's all good. There's going to be a bloody great big collage piece go on top of it. But it's just to give a little bit of something in the background, so it's not just a flat background. So I really like how that was a little bit lighter, and it is because actually my paint dried really, really quickly. I'm going to put this back on again where it was. And I'm going to use a lighter blue. This is mineral, so it's just like a pale pastel blue colour. Oh. I'm just going to add in a little bit of lightness into some of the areas. So I have got barely any paint on my sponge when I'm sponging, which is something that I know a lot of beginners when they're sponging put a lot on, and it sort of pulls it away a little bit. No, I always pull off the underneath print. Yeah, it's all good. If I was patient, you know, I might actually stop doing that, but I've never been very patient when it comes to stuff like this. And again, I just, the ultimate mixed media, I just think it's, you know, it's extra texture. Okay, so you can see by just adding a little bit of white, that sort of just lifts that up again. And you can still see the colour, you can still see the texture in the background. Okie dokie. Right, so I'm going to go in with my first piece of collage, and I really like this large image. But one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out some of the background. Not all of it, just going to cut out some of it. That's just a me thing, because I'm a bit like that, but you know, it's white space. You know I don't do white space. So for the really biggish chunks, I'm going to cut some away. I am going to do some stenciling and stuff over the top of it and kind of blend it into the background, but I just want to have a little bit more of a cagey feel to it. And obviously if you're not using the cage, don't do this bit. But I do this a lot with my magazine images, like with, you know, between the crooks of their arms and legs and stuff. I will cut out the extra bits because I like seeing the background underneath. Yeah, it's been a bit busy. Last year, sorry, has been, well, the last few years, but particularly last year has been a bit much. So, much and all as I love doing this, I was really struggling to get into the studio. I've got so many videos that my computer had a little bit of a, this computer won't work anymore last night when I tried to put them all up. So I'm going to have to do one sort of video at a time, which is a bit of a pain, but that's what school holidays are for. But for the moment, to save my sanity somewhat, I'm going to put one video up a week on a Friday. And if I get, you know, well ahead and get to the end of the year, I'll start putting 2 videos up a week. But I figured at least if I've got one, I'm not going to get to what I did this year when I didn't have anything, because I didn't really like that. I miss you guys. I miss the comments and interacting with you. Yeah, it was crazy. So I'm just cutting out this sort of odd bitten piece, but I am going to show you how we're going to sort of blend it in a little bit too. So if this one is a bit intricate for you, that's why I included the other image, because the cage on that one is a little bit chunkier. Don't cut your finger. That would be a great start to it, wouldn't it? So who got something exciting for their art supplies this year? There is absolutely no lagging behind. I do tend to work at a bit of a breakneck pace, and I have got a bit of an advantage over all of you because I know where I'm going and you don't. So don't panic about it, just take your time. That's why I'm doing something like this, so I can slow myself down a little bit. You don't have to do this bit. If I had been organised and actually done something useful today, I could have possibly actually told you what we were doing, but that's okay. Yes, I know, very early with you. I am very impressed that you're doing it. I am certainly not a morning person. And no matter how much I hang out and like people, sleep is sacrosanct. I really appreciate those lovely people who have got up at a stupid o'clock in the morning to see me being crazy in my studio. So you see I'm not cutting out all of it, I'm just cutting out some of the biggish chunks. And I know this is sort of part of a head, but again, these images don't really need to make sense. So I suppose my inspiration behind them was sort of new beginnings, new starts, not necessarily New Year's resolutions, because I'm not a big believer in that. But I know personally I've got lots of new starts happening this year, so it was just something I wanted to commemorate. And, you know, I've done a few Christmassy type things in the morning, in the past for holidays, so I thought it'd be good to do some sort of more. You can do these whenever during the year. But I do know a lot of people do, what you call it, like the word of the year and stuff, so that would be really cool if you do have a word of the year. That might be what you choose to have on your first page, and cut that word out. Oh, I'm glad you're looking forward to it. Yes, Johnny, you're very, very organised. So have you got any more dates with Dina this year coming up? I'm hoping she's going to come to Australia at some stage. Never late to the party, Linda. Okay, so you can see I haven't cut out all of it, but it's given a bit of a... I'm glad someone else is good at ADHD. It's quite a skill. It is quite a skill. I always laugh when kids in class use it as an excuse. It's like, well, no, you've actually got a bit of a superpower there if you use it in the right way. Oh, that would be awesome. Just tell her to get her butt over to Australia at some stage. Okay, so for this, I am going to glue my image kind of over to one side a little bit to give me a little bit of space over here, just to kind of blend it together. Oh crap, what have I done now? I've broken my glue. That's not going to work. Oh, that does work though. Don't break your needle point glue, but if you do, it still works without the needle. You can use gel medium, you can use whatever you want to glue this down. If you like working with glue sticks, you can use a glue stick. I hate glue sticks. However, for collage, probably having a drier type glue is more preferable, but why would I do anything that's done the right way? Yeah, it's a pretty image, this one. I can't believe you're doing it all at half size though. You're crazy. So Linda's reduced all her images to A5 size. She's working the smaller thing, which of course you can do, not an issue, but I just I struggle with fussy cutting big images, let alone small images. And don't ever look at my fussy cut images too close, because they're never very neat. Okay, when I've got her in, what I'm going to go back with is a little bit more of that marine over the top. And I'm going to line up my stencil again. So whatever colour you used in the background, we're just going to use a little bit over the top to sort of blend it together. As I was saying before you came in, Linda, you don't have to cut out the bits and pieces of the cage. It's just because I'm not fussy. Well, I am probably fussy. I don't like the white space. I like it to have it blended into the background. So you could just paint over it so it sort of blends in. It's just to sort of get it into the background a little bit. So it's got some of the letters in the background with what little paint you've got left on your sponge. Now a lot of this is going to be covered over with flowers and bits and pieces anyway, so it's really not necessary. But if you're one of those people that likes to mix it in together, that's what you can do. You can also lift up the cage apparently if you're a bit rough. Okay, so now she's sort of floating there somewhat. I'm also going to go in with a black pen. Yeah. Yeah, I get you. I really struggle with the motivation, and that's part of the reason with the kids. They're getting grumpy with me and I was getting grumpy with them because we all sit in the spectrum together. But when I finally get the motivation up to do something, I need it done there and then, and I get really frustrated when other people aren't helping or aren't doing it at the same speed because it needs to be done and they don't see it with the same urgency as me, and it drives a few of us bonkers. It does kind of, doesn't it? So I'm just playing around with the image. Again, a lot of this probably won't be seen, but sort of just connecting it to the edge so it makes sense. Yeah, okay. So what we're going to do now is, as Linda said, she looks a little bit desperate, so we're going to add some colour around her and brighten her up a wee bit. So this is where all these bits and pieces come in, and we're going to sort of build a bit of a border around her. So as I said, as I was cutting these out, I cut some bits and kept them together, or you had the individual ones. Okay, so I quite like that along there. I think I'm going to cut around this one and move it across so I can put something else in the middle. So that's what I really love about doing collage like this, because while you can sort of cut out the chunks, it doesn't stop you from cutting it into different pieces. Oh, thank you, Starlight. I really enjoy doing this sort of stuff, so it's nice to be able to craft with other people from all around the world. That's what makes it really special. So all those little pieces like this where I've cut out before, you can sort of overlay them and add that little bit of extra boost to the page. This is where you can sort of audition stuff. So Mum's just messaged me to say, what are you doing? I don't have my phone to message her back. Don't necessarily glue it all down at once right now. So depending on how much you want to put in, remembering we're going to overlay a few pages. Oh, excuse me. You know, you may want to put in some of these border bits, or you may not. Like I might just put that little bit up there like that, not the full piece. And if you change your mind again, so now she's got butterflies in her hair. Yeah, you can just play around with it. I completely lost my train of thought there, sorry. it doesn't all have to be joined up. It's just sort of building up that. So I quite like that that's not quite connected as a border, and I can still see some of that stuff in the background. So I think I'm happy enough with that, and I'm going to stick these down. Yeah, it is. It's very much like that. Oh my goodness. I would lose everything in the kitchen sink if it was crazy, crazy girl. So I can hear my girls causing my husband grief in the background. They've been complaining about being tired all day, and I think they've suddenly found their third wind. So again, this is kind of just giving us a base. It is very, very flat at the moment, and that's okay. But we're going to build it up. And we're not necessarily going to finish it all right now, because we're going to add more to it later as we go along. Getting with our paint pens because it's me, do a bit of mic making. You can do some stamping on it. Just whatever takes your fancy. No, you're not late, lots late at all. We've only really just started. Kind of. Really hasn't taken us that long to do this. And I have pre-cut out some of the images, so don't feel that we've been sitting here cutting stuff out. We haven't. Okay. So we've got sort of this layout going. It's not all connected through. I'm going to do a bit of mic making on this because it's me, and I want a little bit of light and bright on here. Yeah, I'm just using glue because I've run out of my matte medium. I've got some of it, but yeah, you could certainly use matte medium. I just have got tears and tantrums in the background. I'm not sure if it's my girls or my husband. So just putting a bit of a highlight on some of the bars. If you haven't checked out the video that I put up today, oops, and don't put your hat, your arm over your just wet paint. It was one I have done using the Collage soup, some of their Collage soup free bits and pieces, and it just makes such a difference when you put a bit of paint pen over the top of things. I've always known it, obviously, because I do it, but it was really interesting to see it happening on screen. It's like, wow, that really does sort of bring it to life a little bit. Hi Tatum, hi Janice. Okay, just as well, just to boost the colour a little bit, and it's not necessary, and it's just something I like to do. But I always find making the whites of the eyes that little bit whiter just helps bring it all together a little bit. Yes, the goth girls in it are gorgeous, aren't they? Very, very fun, and very fun to add stuff to as well. They look very good with crowns and wings on their head. I've ended up doing that a lot. Okie dokie. I'm going to put a bit of mic making on this because I want to brighten it. I've obviously got a fairly dark background. Hi Leslie, how are you? Getting my paint pens out. And just using them to sort of lead across the page. So one of the things when I'm doing mic making is to always oh, my brain has gone completely blank. To overlap your mic making and your collage and your bits and pieces. It just helps everything sort of stay together somewhat. I printed an A4 for this journal, but you can print it in A3, and I know some people have printed it in A5 as well, so you do you. There's really no right or wrong. I know people get a little bit afraid of mic making. Like literally, my mic making consists of lines, dots, and crosses. That's it. There's nothing tricky about it at all. I'm getting paint everywhere. I don't know why. Please feel free to use these images in any way you see fit. And you certainly don't have to use the images I'm using now. If something else appeals to you better, use those. Oh, very nice. Lovely seeing your grandson. How old is he? You are very, very welcome. One of the good things about printables is you can sort of put your paint pen over the top, and because it's on sometimes slightly glossy paper, you can move it around, and like the good old trick of neons sort of just boosts the colour of things somewhat. Does help if you've got clean fingers though. I love people working together. There you go. I didn't even, well, I don't have a scan and cut to begin with, but didn't even think about you could use that to do that. Right, okay, so there's a lot happening here at the moment. I haven't really done much here, but I figure I'm probably going to put my quote down here. So the fact that sort of around here has got stuff. And the great thing about this is you can always come back to it later. But, you know, we started off with a very dark background and we've boosted the colour somewhat. So that's what we're looking for. So that's all we're going to do on the other pages as well. We're going to sort of do a basic go of them, and then we're going to build on top of them, and add and subtract more. So I'm going to leave that page. I painted this page because, as for those people who weren't here before, when I'm doing cut pages, I always forget the back of the page, and it drives me nuts. So they kind of do, don't they? Yeah. My mark making so recognizable. Yeah. It really is just dots and dashes. Like there's nothing too spectacular about it. Okay, so on this page I'm going to sort of not invert the colors somewhat, because a lot of the cutouts are in those warm colors. I am going to stick with cooler colors in the background though. So I'm going to go in with sort of a turquoisey color on this page, mix sort of like malachite, turquoisey. I just can't speak apparently today. And apparently all my paints are blocked. So my lesson for you is, obviously I have been struggling to get into my studio a wee bit, and I was doing the painting that you might have seen up on my Instagram, the abstract landscape, and I knew I wanted texture pastes on it. If you haven't gone to check in on your grit paste and your texture pastes recently and you haven't used them in a while, please go and do that, because I had to throw out 4 jars, some almost nearly full, because I hadn't used them and they had completely dried out. So from my house to yours, use your stuff. And possibly change the colour of the paint water. But again, it's just the background, it really doesn't matter. So Niamh Baly patented blending colours technique. Don't wash your paintbrush properly and just say it's deliberate. Yeah, it was, and like they're all different brands, so it wasn't the brand, it was me not using them. It was really sad. So again, I'm just going in and drying this next layer. And again, to let people catch up, I'm going to paint my other page while I remember. Yeah, so I was really surprised, because particularly the ones that had a fair bit in it, but obviously because of the drying nature of particularly texture pastes. Yeah, and I think they've got like plaster of Paris powder in it or something to create the high level. Yeah, completely unusable. So I did say on my thingy bobby, black gesso, if you prefer black, use black. I usually use black, but I've got my grey sitting here. I really don't care that I've got mess down there either, because I know I'm going to cover it up. So this is a Niamh Baly New Year's resolution of just go with the flow. So do you use your scan and cut much, Wendy, to do all your cutting? I have been thinking, particularly because I'm a teacher as well, everyone keeps using the crickets and doing such amazing things with it, and I keep thinking, oh, that would be good. But in reality, I don't think I'd ever use it in my crafting stuff. Then I think, oh, you could make stencils. I just not sure if I would use it. So those who have it, scan, cut, or crickets or anything else, do I want one and why? No pressure. Okay, a lot of this page is not going to be used, but I'm just going to keep it on here because it's just easier, and it means whatever I tear out of the middle, it's already pre-decorated, so win-win. I'm just going to go in again. What's sitting around me gets used. I love this stencil too. This is another Stencil Girl stencil. Going with a wee bit of yellow on this. Hi, Leslie. Okay, that's good to know. Oh, God, just lost my darning needle. Yeah. See, I don't, because I know you do all those beautiful cutouts and stuff. I don't tend to, like, this is the most fussy cutting I've done in a while, so I'd have to use it for other things, I think. Okay, so I am just going to sort of stay around the bordery areas, but again, I know a lot of this is going to be covered up with collage, so look, it really is just, you know, doing for doing's sake. I might see some of it, I may not. I'm probably going to see more up on the top layer, so that's probably where I should concentrate, but it really doesn't matter. School holidays are amazing. However, you know, Christmas is over and the next day, back to school. It's like, I'm not going back to school for a little while. Can you just give me a break? Like, we've literally just left school and you're telling me I have to go back again. I know people want to get rid of their kids. Some people want to get rid of the kids. I like having my kids home. But give us a wee break. That would be nice. And then I've got all, you know, it's just learning to step away from the computer or seeing stuff and not feeling guilty about it. Because, again, you know, the internet knows everything. It knows I'm a teacher, so I get all these wonderful, oh, back to school, and this is how I'm decorating my classroom, and this is what I'm doing this year, and this is what you can use from Kmart to do this. Just like, shh, chill, give me a break. Okay, I am going to do a wee bit of stamping in the background on this one. I'm getting so Irish in old age. Yeah, I always whinge about it. I know I shouldn't, but I always do. So, again, like any colour. And remember, we're getting rid of a lot of this centre bit. So, you know, you can either cut out the centre bit first of all. I'm just playing around because it's, you know, I can use it as an ATC background, card front, whatever. But a lot of this is going to be covered with collage. So you don't have to do this. This is just me, again, giving some people some time to catch up if they need to. This is one of the new Natalie May stamps. It's gorgeous. Where's my black ink pad? If you were a black ink pad, where would I have put you? No, it was funny because I don't know about anywhere else. I actually quite like a fruit bun. I'm one of those crazy people who do buy them before Easter, but someone did put up in our local supermarket that they were actually available as hot cross buns with a cross on the top, not just as fruit buns, before December, before Christmas this year. So yeah. Yeah, the stencils can be expensive. I know Nat often had someone special, and there's Black Friday sales and stuff with them. I'm very lucky because I'm on the design team, so I do get them. But they're also, because they're so big and chunky, you can just use parts of them, or you can use the whole thing. Hot cross buns are so good though. They're awesome. So the other thing to do, if you are not find it difficult to mark make, use your stamps and stencils to help you. Use them as templates. So just draw over them, or overlap them, or do whatever. But I know particularly sort of randomy ones like this, some people have real difficulties with. They like the sort of controlled in order. So it's a really good way just to free yourself up and just try some different shapes by just drawing over the top of previous stamping. Okie dokie. So I've got a bit of a background. Now I'm going to get my images back. Remember, we are going to cut out the centre bit, so don't panic about that. So I'm going to use her because I quite like the big butterfly, and I think that will work quite well overlapping with the previous page. And then I might do something like that. So this might be a bit of a gap down here that I can put something in. I might even take that down further, and then I'll probably put something there. We shall see. Okay, so for the squeamish of you, look away now. So we're just going to go in and we're going to tear. Now, if you want a nice straight opening, you can certainly do that. And if you were doing more than 2 or 3 layers, you might want to make this a thinner opening. But that's sort of what we're looking for. So depending on how much the background you want to see, you can take more away. So if I put my bits and pieces back here again, so that sort of overlaps her. And I get a pretty cool opening here. I might even take a little bit more away from here. Oh, the black page is this page in the background. Okay, so again, it's going to get me a bit more. Right down there like that. I want to see her eyes, so this is where you do a little bit of playing around with your images and how they sit together. So I know I like this bit here, so I'm going to glue that down. Oh, I've just done something really dumb. You can cut it using a ruler if you want. I like the torn edge. So I put glue all over this image, and you know, Chucky Frog to anyone who can tell me why that might be a bit of an issue. So this is a non-stick page, so it's hopefully not going to stick to the background there. I'm going to cut this image up. Don't particularly want these eyes here, so I'm actually going to move it over a little bit. And that makes now a little bit more sense with this sort of flower here. I'm actually going to cut off the top of her head. God, don't throw your craft knife at yourself. That's just really silly. Okay, so this is just going to be a sort of a butterfly sitting at its edge. It's all about looking at collage images and going, what can I change on them to make them make a bit more sense? So now you can see I've got this beautiful little connecting bridge happening here on my page too. So I'll see little gaps happening. This time I'm just going to put blue on here instead of all over my image, because I've learnt from my mistakes. And then I'm going to glue over here to make sure that this is secure as well. And I've lost my pin. These things happen. I'm just going to keep lifting this up so I don't get it all stuck. Okay. So again, for those people who it drives you slightly batty, you may want to go in and paint the back black or whatever colour you have chosen to paint it. Paint, 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 paint. So how close do you and Sandy live, Wendy? Or Sandy? Sounds like you live quite close to each other. Especially if you've got cutting friends. That's awesome. So this looks quite flimsy, particularly because I'm using, I've just copied this onto copy paper. But we are going to put some acetate behind it that will give it some strength and it will stop that curling. So just be careful of that. Okay. So now we can sort of see it coming together. You've got these little bits hiding through. Okay. I am going to attempt something really dumb because it's me and I can. I am just going to use a very thin paintbrush. I was going to use my fingers, but no. Can't find a very thin paintbrush. I think just to frame up the page a little bit, having that little bit of a black border is going to help somewhat. Give it a bit of a shadow. Again, you do you. The other thing that I'm going to do a bit later on is I think I'm going to paint in those white butterflies. Just to give it a bit. And that's that's why I really like the twine edge, because you can get those sort of cool effects. It doesn't need to be neat and it doesn't need to be right, and it's kind of like you're peering through sort of holes in the wall. And the good thing is, and this is why I love using acrylics, because that base layer is quite dry. If I do get it where I don't want it, I can just sort of blend it in, make it look like a shadow a little bit. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to go back in because I've got all these cute little small things in here too, like these little butterflies, birdies. There's some smaller butterflies, smaller birds in here somewhere. And again, this is where you can get, you know, you could stamp out birds or butterflies, or you could have the Tim Holtz butterflies. Like, use what you've got. Don't feel locked into what I've got here. Okay, so I'm just going to put these over this side so I can see what I've got. Oh, thank you, Michelle. So Guinevere, go back. Where are we? There it is, Guinevere. How are you going? Have I scared you off yet? Hopefully, that's certainly not my intent. I hope I haven't. But I'm just making sure you're okay and I haven't scared anyone. Okay. So I actually quite like that bird there. So I'm going to chuck him in. Might have some birds in the background as well. So this is where you can kind of start looking at as one page and start adding in your different layers. Yeah, it's a curse. I work fast. Oh, it sounds like children are still awake. Their father must be thrilled. Yeah, replays are really handy. Just means you can go at your own pace, know what you're doing. Really? I've never heard anyone say my hands are clean before. It's the reason why I don't get nails very often. My goodness. I'm going to go back to, oops, I'm going to go back to this page, and I think I want a sort of series of birds flying on this page, sort of peeking out from that sort of that freedom, the escape from the cage somewhat. They do look like the flying ducks though, don't they? Oops. Yeah. You certainly don't have to use what I've got. Just go, use your imagination, use what you've got. Obviously, that's why I provide them if you want to, but I love it when people get imaginative and use their own stuff. Oh, I've just put all those things into wet paint because I am that smart. I was thinking, why is that butterfly painty? This is how I get dirty. I know, so I was going to put a quote there. I'll come back to that. Okay, so I will keep going for the moment. Oh God, I've got paint everywhere. Oh dear. Love it. Oh, a bluebird. Oh, you silly woman. So I love the little birdies here because one of my favourite things, my Christmas tree is covered in birds, which is hilarious because I'm really not a bird person in real life. But it's kind of like a Christmas tradition handed on from I presume from my grandmother. Because I remember she used to have these stuffed, not stuffed, they were pretend, they were, you know, supposed to be Christmas decorations, but robin Christmas decorations on her tree. And so now my tree has them. And the robins on here remind me of that. I'm going to cover that one over with a bigger bird. I tried to take it off, but it was already too glued down. And I've just done the other dopey thing that I always do, is glue it onto the other page. Oh dear. Yeah, I've done that with black ink. I had black ink everywhere. We've all got an ink story, don't we? Awesome. Right, again, I'm going to leave that layer and build up again. But you can sort of see where we're going with it. Obviously, I'll come back and paint that in a minute. But we're sort of creating these bridges and... See you, Sandy. Lovely to hang out with you. See where everything's sort of sticking together and so on and fitting together. So, oh, excuse me. I was so excited to hang out with you guys that I couldn't eat tea and now I'm hungry. because that's the way the cookie crumbles. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to the first page. And I know, oops, where is it? Here, that I had this and it was quite formal with the cut border. I really like that flowy border, so I'm going to stick with that. However, if you want to create a nice, neat, we're going to use the same sort of idea, but if you want to use a sort of nice, neat, that, go for it. But this is what happens when you get me on a roll. I just do my own thing. So I'm going to go again with another blue, I think. But I think I might go darker, so it goes darker, lighter, darker. So I might get my night out. I haven't used this in ages. It used to be my favourite go-to. And then I met Maureen. See you, Janice. Lovely to spend time with you. Can't wait to see what you all create. Please tag me in it, because I'm just nosy and I love seeing what everyone makes. Yes, glass mats. Oh my goodness, so good. Saviours of the day. Again, I'm not being very careful with how I'm painting this. Just putting some paint down. And I might go back with my first stencil. See if I can do it this time without rubbing half of it off. And again, a lot of this is going to be covered up. This is just to get a bit of something in the background. Yep, good old hand sanitizer works a treat. You should see this desk when I lift up the glass mat too. It is interesting. So yes, it's funny how we stain. The top of this is supposed to be grey. It's not anymore. It's got some very interesting colours underneath it. Okay, with this one I'm going to leave it fairly plain to begin with, because I am going to put my words on it once I find my alphabet stencils, which I did leave out, but of course, why would I put them anywhere useful? So just to share some of my avalanche around me. Right, let's get rid of this stuff. It is really time for me to clean up my room again. It's all happening. Right. Yes, disposing of the evidence. That sounds like a good plan. Okay, I'm just using a white pencil, something you can see. Yeah, the dryer is still here and still working, which is good. Right, okie dokie. So usually I start out with a border and do that. This never done this before, so this could be what not to do. What do I want to write on this? Sorry, I'm being very indecisive, guys. I should have really thought this bit through, but I haven't. I'm just trying to find my little quote pages. I don't really want to say new start. Right, I know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say take flight. Because it's kind of course. Sharpen up your pencil and your pencil dies. Oh, this isn't going to work. That orange work. I'm trying to do it so you guys can see what I'm doing too, so you don't have to find the brightest colour. If you've got a water-soluble pencil though, it is handy because you can wipe it away afterwards, particularly if you're working on acrylic ink, paint, sorry. So the one thing when I'm joining letters, and it doesn't matter if you're using a alphabet stamp or stencils like this, you just need to make sure that they overlap in some way or touch in some way. Remembering it is all going to be supported with a transparency, so if they're a bit floppy, that's okay. We don't mind that. They are good stencils. So again, I'm joining it up to the bottom of the last. Just need to make sure I'm spelling it correctly. I did look back at one of my journal pages, and very sadly for a literacy teacher of 25 years, I'd spelt one of the words repeat wrong. Like, how do you spell repeat wrong? But I spelt repeat wrong. Which was very embarrassing. So I'm just seeing that I can see at the top and at the side that everything is joined together. Now, I have been known to just hand cut letters and not use a stencil, and that's, you do you, but just so I'm quite comfortable if something doesn't quite fit, I will, you know, draw it back on and make sure it touches and all those things. Just make sure that you've got everything touching, and if you have kind of misaligned it, just make sure when you're cutting that they touch, like here, that touches. Okay. So I've got take flight. Because it's sort of got birds and bits and pieces there. I don't have any what you call it, brain cells apparently at the moment. Number stencils, so I'm just going to use these, and again, just grab an ink, it doesn't really matter. And you don't have to put a date on this at all. I'm just doing it so got one. So again, and that's why these Tim Holt ones, because they're closely cut, you can sort of see how they overlap together. Forest Run. Do that. So one of the things I did on the practice piece, or the first piece I did, was to emboss it, because I haven't embossed in ages. For those of you in Australia who have come across me before, my previous life, craft life, was selling ultra thick embossing, manufacturing and selling opals, embossing enamels. So that was me. Used to see me at all the craft fairs, doing all the demos with Sue, my business partner. Yeah, so embossing was my life. Yeah, my breathing's fine. I'm just having to bend down. I've been on my bike and bending is interesting at the moment. Sorry, I don't mean to breathe loudly. Okay, so because I had the ink on the page, it was pretty easy. It was a pigment ink, so I've just added the embossing powder. Oh, do you? Awesome. Yeah, the good old opals, I love them. So I still get them out occasionally, but just, yeah, art journaling became what I got into. The magic of embossing. So this is what started me with stamping so long ago. Was I went into a little shop and they had a Christmas tree stamp and gold embossing powder, and they did this, and it was like, Mum, I just want to do that. So my mum, being the wonderful person she is, facilitated my addiction, and I think that year I embossed like 150 Christmas cards over a toaster. And I got a heat gun for my Christmas present, and life has never been the same since. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, this is where it takes a little bit of thinking. Yeah, the old toaster embossing. I'm glad someone else knows about this. Usually what would happen is, and I'll go back here to explain it before I even put things to paper. You need to connect your writing to a border, okay? Because otherwise, if I cut out those letters, it's going to be a big gap in the little page. So I need to connect it to a border in some way. In this one, I drew out my frame first, made sure my alphabets are joined to the border, and then I cut out the excess. I think she forgot. I got a text from her a while ago, except I'm using my phone to video. So she was texting, "Where are you?" I was like, well, I'm online, so I don't know where you are. I'll catch her up later. So I'm going to have to think of, because I want a Torn border, a try with a Torn border, I need to make sure that things are sitting. So for example, this bit down here is going to have to sit on a border somewhere. I think this is going to be my joining edge. So as long as this is joined, because all of these are connected to it, they can float. That's okay, but as long as this bit is connected. So I'm going to start cutting from here and cut these bits out and tear around this border. So once I find my cutting board, which I have put somewhere, because I am a twit. Did anyone see where I put a red thing? big and red, and it can have disappeared. Apparently it can. Sorry. Yeah, my mum is pretty cool. So she, I think I put it on my Instagram page earlier. Oh, there it is. Totally hit it. Is having an art gallery happening at the end of January. Frida and friends. So I'm one of her friends apparently, so I can put some stuff into the art gallery as well, which is really nice. Yeah, so she's putting in all her free motion quilting, but I don't know if anyone here does quilting or knows people, but she's very much influenced by Helen Godden, who does the most amazing free motion quilting, but paints on her fabric. So she paints the stuff, basically it's mixed media, and then quilts over the top of it, which is pretty awesome. So Mum has got a whole heap of quilts that she's going to be displaying that she's created. My dad loves doing woodwork. For 40 odd years he was an anaesthetist and didn't do anything crafty, and then he retired. He's the head of the men's shed and is making these amazing beautiful jewelry boxes and so on. So yeah, and my two daughters are always very excited because they want to put something in too, so God knows what they're going to put in. I presume that's where my scissors have possibly disappeared too, because they're being crafty somewhere. I'm just cutting the inside of my letters out first, because this is the piece that I am grounding. So I want to make sure that I've got this right and where I'm going to next. I am not touching this bottom piece. And if you are scared about cutting somewhere that you shouldn't be, a really great hint is, if you can find some, if you put some washi down, and like that's a no cut zone, that's just going to make sure that you're not going to suddenly have bits and pieces floating around in thin air and cause yourself a bit of grief. Not that it really matters, because we've worked back to front. If I really stuff up this page, I can always tear it out and do the next page. Okay, there's no mistakes. Yeah, toaster embossing was always interesting. It was fine, but you'd have to let the toaster cool down after 10 cards because it got a little bit warm. And I always used to say that I had asbestos fingers because I could lift embossing pieces up by my hands and not get burnt, or I could hold the card over the toaster and it wasn't an issue. So you see I've cut down to here and I haven't gone any further, and I'm going to do the same with the 5 because that's going to give me my tearing line for the rest of my border. Okay, so now I'm going to move my journal around a bit. So with this T that I've got here, it didn't quite go the whole way, so I'm just extending it down to sit it on top of the 5. So this is just where you have to play around with things a little bit. Same with the H. Okay, and I always find it's handy working on a different coloured mat because you can sort of see what you need to cut out and what needs to stay. And depending on how fussy you want to be. Now, obviously, you don't have to do this bit. You can just cut out a nice square border if you wanted to, so you can see everything below, and just put a quote on it or a sticker over the top. This is just the extra. So do what makes you happy. So I always find as I'm going, first of all, having a sharp knife, I think you saw me change my blade, even though it was fairly sharp, it just makes such a huge difference when you're doing fussy cutting, that I'm cutting around the letters. So I'm not cutting the letters out, I'm cutting around the letters, just like I did with the numbers. So it's really good they're embossed, so you can actually see what I'm doing. So because I don't have a clear border, usually if I had a border, I'd cut straight over to them and cut this bit out, so you could actually see those letters sort of floating there. But I'm trying to be a bit tricky because it's me, and why wouldn't you do something brand new that you've never done before on a page in front of people who are watching you. But it's good because you guys get to see any mistakes I make and go, yeah, well, that's not how you do it. This is how you do it instead. So just make sure your letters are connected. Now this K, I could have cut through there. I chose not to and just change the angle of it a little bit, just to give me a little bit more area that the letters are joined together, if that makes sense. I know it's really tricky. You're sort of guessing what I'm doing from what's being removed, but I'm nearly finished cutting. So you should be able to sort of see my final go. But just like the cage, I like cutting out all the little bits of extra, because the more you can see all the beautiful backgrounds you've done, the better. So if I can cut out a piece that lets me see a little bit more of the background, that makes me happy. So if you can see that, I've got the take there. So these are, if they're not Dina Wakley's alphabet letters, they are Natalie May's alphabet letters. I really like them because they're nice and chunky. But obviously you can do what I did here and stamp something out and just cut around it, or draw it out by hand. Use those letter stencils that you used to get to do your school projects. Whatever you've got that's handy. Or as I said before, just cut out a big rectangle so you can see the whole background if you don't want to do this bit. That's what I love about this sort of stuff. There's no right or wrong. Okay. There we go. So you can sort of see how that's come up now. And I've got this background. Yes, flying by the seat of pants is very fun. So I'm just going to cut across to about here and to about here. So that just gives me a bit of an edge where I know I want to tear around. And I'm just going to do what I did before and tear a border. Because I really love that idea, sort of like layers and peeking through holes in the garden. And the good thing about this is if it's not the right size, you can go back and change it afterwards. So, ta-da! That's what it's going to look like. I'm going to take this washi tape off. Repeat it first, but that's okay. Okay. So I'm just going to tear up to that. Just so I've sort of got that torn edge. a wee bit. Okay, and if there's any bits that are too... Don't stab yourself with a knife. There you go. So you can sort of see that now. So what I think I might do is I'm going to emboss that in the gold as well, just so it really stands out, because I really love how that gold stands out there. So I'm going to get my craft mark back again. And you can use embossing ink. You can use whatever you've got. Don't be terrified. Having the washi there to know where the no cut zone is really handy. Really handy. Okay. I might just clean that off so I don't have embossing powder sticking to it everywhere. Use the other side. Actually, the white's quite nice. Okay. So obviously, if you wanted to, if you didn't want to do the words, but you want to stamp around, emboss around the outside, you could certainly do that. Right, and the only thing, well, actually, the good thing is I haven't done this, but I did on my previous one. I had actually put the acetate in. If you have already put acetate in, or if you're doing this and decide that you want to emboss it afterwards, and you've put I can't speak, and you've put the acetate in, you just need to be really, really careful that you put your sort of heat board in between a little bit to make sure you don't melt your acetate. So I know I've lost the eye on this, and I'll go back and fix that up. And the paint pens, you know, do wonderful things. There is something magic about burning your work. It's asbestos fingers coming in again. There you go. Oops. Yeah, it's really, really juicy, that ink pad, so it works really well. You can use your Tim Holtz ink pads and all those things to do it. So it's just, you just need a juicy ink pad. Right, okie dokie. So this is how the page is working at the moment. So I've got that beautiful, bold 2025, and then we go into our more layered pieces. So I have just had to order a whole heap of new white pens, because all my white pens that I use regularly, I have used them to death, and I usually have spares, but I've used up all my spares and not realised. So don't run out of your spares is my lesson to you. And we're just going in and doing a highlight on my letters. And I've just realised that with my I and my G, I've actually missed out on some bits that I haven't cut out, so to help it read a bit easier. So just because you've done it and embossed it doesn't mean you can't go back and fix it. See, my pen's dying. Oh, thanks, Wendy. So with my eye here, I'm just going to go in and cut this little bit out. So it's going to make it look more like an eye. Already that makes a difference. And the same down here. Just to give that G a bit more of a curve and make the eye sort of stand out a little bit more. So just by taking those two little triangles out, you've got an idea of what that says a lot more easily than you had before. Just to make sure it all makes sense. I'm going to go in with my letters as well. And if I wanted my letters, like they're fairly solid, if I did want them to look like this, I could have gone in with a paintbrush and brushed some of the embossing powder away just to give it a little bit more of a brush stroke like the previous one. But that's what we're looking like at the moment. Now I really like that white border around there because I think it pops it out from the background. What I am going to go and do now though is I am quickly going to paint this a little bit because it's going to boggle me otherwise. Possibly not with so much water on my brush, Niamh, that would be good. Okay, so I have got from my local news agency, because I ran out, just clear transparent sheets. Now obviously you could use the Dina Wakley printed ones, not an issue. Just have a bit of a practice with them, where they sit and how they look and so on. So because we have got such quite a detailed collage, you probably want to not have too thick a print on your acetate. You know, like pattern over it is fine, or some writing, but just be aware that too much might make it a bit hard to read. So I've put my acetate down on top of my collage, and then I'm going to close this page over the top and press it down. I've just used my glue that I usually use. You can use gel mediums and so on. It does dry clear. My big thing about using transparencies in the past has been, oh, you know, it's not going to dry clear, and it's totally blown my perceptions that that doesn't actually happen. While I'm waiting for that to dry, it will take longer than doing this, but I'm just going to trim the excess off. Again, you don't have to be dangerous with a knife, you can actually just do it normally, but it's me. I can't wait to see what you do with it too, Susan. I had a ruler before. Why don't I put that ruler? Oh God. I really do need to clean this place up. Right, this is ridiculous. I also just had a knife. Does anyone do that? I used to walk into the classroom with a whole heap of photocopying or something for the day. I would walk in, I would put it down, I would turn around to talk to a kid, turn back around, and it's like, where was that? I am sure I just had something. Where has it gone? There you go. So by putting the transparency on, that just gives it much more stability, particularly for those bridging pieces, particularly that we've done that in copy paper. That will dry clear. I know it looks like a mess at the moment, but it will dry clear, so you don't need to worry about it. Okay, I'm going to do the same with this piece too. So again, just going to put my transparency down. I just find if I'm gluing it down like this, it doesn't bend and buckle and so as much. It makes it a little bit easier. And I know gel medium probably be better for this, but I just like the fact that with a finer tipped glue like this, I can kind of draw around the letters and make sure kind of every bit has glue on it, because I know when I press it down it's going to sort of smudge out a bit. But you know, you can also use double sided tape, whatever adhesive that you find works for you, except for glue stick, because glue sticks are pretty useless. Oh, that's where I put my craft knife. What transparencies am I using? Usually I'll use my Dina ones, but I didn't lose them, I've just used them all up. So I went down to the news agency and just bought clear transparencies from down there. Really doesn't matter, it's just as long as it's clear, because you're basically just using it as a support system for your page. So absolutely no brand, it's just what I got. But yeah, if you want to use, yeah, you could use laminating sheets, but well, laminating sheets sometimes have a bit of a film to them, so I tend to, like in emergency, I will split a laminating sheet and use one side of it, but transparencies just are that little bit clearer. So again, I've got something nice and firm now that lies flat, that I can do stuff with. So going in again, as you do, if I wanted to add stuff to this, I can. Yeah, the good old transparencies. Well, it's funny, I had to explain to some young girls at the shop. It's like, I don't know what you're looking for. Oh, that's a good idea. Laminate the sheet first, yeah. So this will bug me for a bit, but I'll fix it up after I'm off screen, because I'm putting white on here. So you're going to see white from the back, but that's okay. Okay, because I've got my sheet down there, I'm really not worried about how it's going. You know, that I can't word. I've stopped wording. Yeah, like this little butterfly too. So you don't have to add much on here. You can, well, sorry, you can add as much or as little as you fancy. It was, sorry. You didn't have to do it, but it does make a difference. Okay, so this up, because I do like my sunflowers. pop that underneath like that. This is what I love about this sort of process is, you know, I have done a preview page. I have used exactly the same materials and I've come up with a fairly, well, it's not fairly different, it's used the same sort of images, but see you, Genevieve. It was lovely hang with you. Can't wait to see what you create. Oh, definitely. And check out, if you haven't been on my channel before, but it sounds like you have, all the videos will be going up now, so there'll be more content there. Did I do a Christmas page this year? No, because I didn't have time, Pamela, because it has been crazy ridiculous. This is my Christmas New Year's page. Yeah, I've done all those. I've done all those too. My first classroom had blackboards in them. I did a little bit of the overhead projector, but yeah, the kids used to crack me up because we got our overhead our interactive boards, and then one day our power went off because we were in a dodgy area, and the power used to go off quite regularly. It's like, oh, we can't do any lessons today. It's like, sucks for you guys, because I used to teach before we used the interactive whiteboard, so we've got stuff to go on with. Okay, so I've got this page, Take Flight, going into this page, and going into this page. So I sort of go from darkish, you can see those bright colours coming through, then you can see the framed images, and then back into the last page. So the final thing, well, you know, how long's a piece of string? You can put as much or as little on here as you fancy. I'm going to put in one of these quotes, and again, if the quotes don't appeal to you, cut out your own. Oh my God, kids having their own devices is just, they don't know how to research anymore. And their favourite thing is, especially now AI as well, you ask them to look something up. So they will type in the entire question you've asked them and give you the answer from the very first thing that Google pops up. So, and not read it before they tell you or write it into their assignments. So we're doing something about Vikings, and oh no, it's about New Zealand. Why was New Zealand called the land of the long white cloud? And they came up with this, about 4 of them came up with this answer about, in 1820 so-and-so did this and so-and-so did that, and this is the reason why this happened. And it's like, that doesn't even answer the question. And they said, oh no, that's what it said, and I replicated what they did. And it's like, yeah, you don't just write down the first thing that comes onto the page. Okay, so I've got this Trust the Magic of New Beginnings. What I am going to do though is, first of all, and it seems really pedantic, but I am going to get a black marker. Hello Kim, how are you? And just go around the outside, which seems really, really silly. But because it's already lying on some other collage material, I just wanted to stand out a little bit. This is going to help it just, you know, pop it out a little bit. Yes, definitely. Well, I had, like, we were talking about grade 8 boys. You would know all about grade 8 boys, Yolanda. But, you know, he sat in class, we were doing narrative writing. And then somebody came up with this wonderful, you know, 3-page narrative story. But it was about fairies, and it was supposed to be a gothic narrative, and it was about fairies in a fairyland. And it was just ridiculous. It's like, you did nothing. Oh, yes, I did. I wrote it all myself. And it's like, yeah, I can generate that in AI as well. So, yes. Oh, well, that's the thing. Like, people in the government keep telling us that, you know, oh, they're so tech savvy and they can do this and they can do that and the other. I'm more tech savvy because when we first got computers, we used to actually have to do a bit of coding with it, and we had to actually problem solve and find it. They are so used to just swiping on a computer that when that doesn't work, it completely throws them. I'm glad you're going to give this a go, Wendy. Yeah, they really are. They're consumers. They struggle. So just to make the quote stand out from the background a little bit, I'm just using a alcohol marker in a cool warm grey or a cool grey, it doesn't really matter. You could use this to be like all pencil to do this as well. This is just translucent, so you can still see what's underneath, but it sort of just gives it that little bit of a boost off the page, so it pops it out. And the good thing about this is if I thought about it, moved it over a little bit, you're not going to have random bits and pieces poking through, and you can put as many or as few quotes on as you want. So I'm going to do this second one. And the other thing is, like, you can journal on this page, you could put a quote on this page as well. You could put some more flowers on this page to sort of blend it in a little bit more. So get as creative as you fancy. Yes, no, I can imagine. Like, it's such, when used well, it is such a powerful tool. And I know I've used it to help me with some of the stuff I'm creating in class. It's been great sort of to do those modelled writing and so on, obviously with me looking over it to make sure it actually makes sense and so on. But you just need to have that critical thinking behind it, and is this giving me what I've actually asked for? Does it actually answer the question? And how am I using it appropriately? So I am going to just don't want to really cover up that bridge, and I don't want to cover up that bird. See you, Pamela. It's all good, Wendy. There's lots here to catch up on, so I'm actually going to stick this over here because I don't want to cover that up. I don't mind if I'm going to lose the bottom of this. It's been very pleasant hanging out with you all. So again, most of that's covered, so it doesn't really, and because that's a bit, swirly, it doesn't really matter. I am going to go in here though and cut that off though, because that white is annoying me. I do these strange things. Yeah, well, it's just one of my, I was beating myself up for it, but it was one of my proudest moments was my kids in grade 8 were just being ridiculous on their devices. We have a one-to-one device policy. The devices belong to the school, but the kids just, it was theirs, and you know, they refused, you know, they just expected to, every piece of work they did, they expected to have their devices to work on. And they're just being really silly with it, getting on YouTube, playing games, and it was just the bane of my existence. So One of them did something, took photos in class and was being silly with them. And I just used that as an opportunity to go, right, I'm wiping all your devices, getting rid of all the games, all the stuff that you shouldn't have on here. And we're not having devices for the next 4 days in class. Oh my goodness. Like, they just down to tools. Like, you're taking away our we can't do the research, we can't do this, we can't do the other. It's like, well, actually, I've thought about that. Here's all the stuff from the textbook. You can't expect us to read that. It's like, well, how else were you going to get the stuff from the internet? You were going to have to read at some stage. Yes, so it was a very long 4 days, but we had a better understanding of each other by the end of it, I feel. Okay, just to make these flowers pop out a little bit from the background, because it was sort of blending in, I've just used a little bit of my Stabilo oil pencil around the outside of it. And you can do that in some of the other flowers as well. It's certainly not necessary. I know when I usually do collage, I will outline stuff, but I actually like the fact this is fairly flat and stays together. But I am going to do the same on this, just because it is sort of the framey bit. I want it to kind of stick out. It was Leslie, it was a very long 4 days. But yes. It was hilarious when I handed them the textbook, and then they threw it back at me. But you could have just given us a device. You've killed half a tree here to print all this out, which I had, but it was like, no, I'm not backing down. You can start to use this properly, or we're not using them at all. Right, so I think we're nearly done. Yeah. I don't know what I've done there. Something's gone up. Okay, so as I said before, you can certainly cover in those. You can see how that transparency, the paint, the glue is drying, which is really good. So again, you can use, yes, exactly. You can use this to journal on, or you could add some more of those collage bits and pieces on if you wanted to. You know, you can get as creative as you like. There's still a load of stuff in here that can sort of go on, fit on. You could have fun with. I'm not going to do that right now because I reckon you guys all deserve to go to sleep. But you can sort of see how you can extend those images and add them on. Actually, now I'm looking at it on the screen, I might do that because I actually really like that. The only thing I would be not concerned about is just making sure that it's not sort of popping through from that side, because we want to cover we don't want to cover any of that stuff on the others. Kim, if you go to my Instagram page, so at Niamh Baly, in the profile I've got a Linktree link to a Dropbox download that you can get those. Also, you can go to Niamh's Art Journal on Facebook, and it's pinned to the top there, so you can go and get the printables from there. So this is our completed page, our pages. So got our floating words over the top with our collage, then got our first page, time to start something new, trust the magic of new beginnings. So lots and lots of fun, and as I said before, I can't wait to see what you guys do, because this is the original. This one I'd run out of printing, so you can see I've got gaps in here. I only used half pieces, and you can see that was quite bold printing. I tried to line it up so it sort of framed her eyes and so on this, but you can see you just need to be careful about what you've done printing. Same with this one, it's sort of just a half piece. Just because I had the bridging there, it helped. And again, I sort of tried to circle the thing. So if you are using a printed transparency, just consider that as you are going. You can also sort of see that was a lighter color scheme to begin with, and then I've highlighted it with the red, and then I've got the black, whereas in this one we did shades of blue, because we've got so many warm colors in the collage on top of it. So you do you though. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with and create. Please tag me in it, and let me see what you've done so we can inspire other people as well. Remembering you've obviously got those printables. So I did show these at the beginning. So that's the other page that I had in there, and I've done a very similar thing and just made a journal page out of it. Where are my little stars? Where are my stars? And there are two. I've been sitting on a piece of black paper, as you do. So again, those are offcuts of one of the pages that we've been working from, and I've just, these were on sale in Kmart. I did a mic making background and then glued these on over the top. So, you know, you've got that plate of all your bits and pieces left over. Go nuts, use them in whatever way you want to. My only request is that you don't sort of forward it on or sell it on. If you do have friends who you want to share the class with, that's fine because it's a free class. But yeah, I don't want to see them on the market. That would be nice. But thank you so much for joining me. I've had an absolute ball. I hope you have too. Hope I've inspired some people to break out their embossing powders again, and to do a bit more collage and be brave and tear a bit in the journals, because it is fun. You don't have to worry about it. And until next time, I will see you later. Remember, the channel is every Friday, so I'll definitely have a video every Friday, and hopefully I'll have videos back up on Tuesday as well, but we're aiming for Fridays at the moment. Love to you all. Look after yourself. Have a great 2025, and I will see you on the socials. Bye everybody. Now I just need to work out how to turn this off like every time without making anyone seasick. See you.